How can you be sure that the idea of non-duality is real? No ideas are real. Ideas always change. So if you really think about what ideas are and what thoughts are, you'll begin to realize that there is no true thought. Thought is based on comparison. So I have blonde hair, and the way that we know that is that we compare it to all other colors, and then we realize, oh, it's blonde. So it's not brown, it's not black, it's not red, it's not blue. What is that? It's not orange, it's blonde. Look at all, it's paint. I've got paint in my hair, on wallpaper. It's blonde. Maybe if you put me in line with lots of blonde people, then you would have lots more description. So you might call me like a more reddy blonde or a coppery blonde or something. So we know I have brown eyes by the fact that I don't have turquoise eyes or red eyes, although maybe I do with all the lights. So you have to think about what thinking is. Like, can any thinking be true? Or is thought always a comparison? So when we say wall, we know what we mean by wall because it's not floor, it's not table, it's not human. Wall is wall. We know lampshade by the fact that it's not light, it's not clock, it's not radiator. And the same, our minds are amazing really, so we decipher these codes and these sentences not by what they actually mean, but what they actually are not, even in our sentences. So we decipher it in comparison to other things. So see if you can ever think of something which stands alone and isn't in comparison to other things. So can you know chair independently of knowing all other words? Like, is there anything that you can think of which isn't comparative? I know that's hard to think about, like you think the words are independent, but you'll actually notice that the way that we know things is in comparison always. Tall by short, good by bad. I went to the police station. We know that we went to the police station because we didn't say went to the hospital. We can identify all these things that we didn't do. We went to the police station. So that's different from we went to the mountain, we went to the school, we went to the shops. If the only thing there was in the world was police station, then you wouldn't be able to identify it in your imagination what it was. You need comparison. So think about it. So it might be easier to think about that with tall and short. Like, you can only define what's tall in comparison to all other things. So I've said this many times before. It's a very profound sentence. I'm sure it's incredibly un-PC. But when I go to Holland, I'm short. The women in Holland are incredibly tall. Not all Dutch women, but a lot of Dutch women are tall. And the men are incredibly tall as well. Of course, they don't know that because they're in Holland and everybody's tall, so they don't know they're a particularly tall race. So in Holland, I am short. When I went to India, I am actually quite tall in comparison to the women. I would like to say, yeah, so in India, I am a tall woman. So which one is true? Am I tall or am I short? Which one's the truth? So, we know the word non-duality by duality. So if there wasn't duality, we wouldn't understand what non-duality was. Which is the amazing thing about the human. It's so cool what the human can do. So by the fact that we can think, we can recognize who we truly are. Khaleesi just is who she is. So Khaleesi's my dog, if you didn't know, the one that was eating the bone and tried to eat my cake. So she can't know who she is, but she is who she is. She's the alive present. She's never identified with being a dog. She has no idea she's a dog. She doesn't know that she has a beautiful face, that she's black and beige and has big ears. She doesn't know where she lives. She doesn't know that she's originally from Thailand. She just is. She's just this alive presence experiencing itself through the dog form. But she doesn't know that. There's no knowing of it. But in the human form, because there's been the identification with separation, there's this added thing which we call enlightenment. This added thing which we call enlightenment, which is the recognition and this energetic shift from being separate to being everything. And because we've got this ability to think, there can be this thing which all other animals don't have, which is the ability to know the difference, which is amazing, amazing creation. So is non-duality real? The word non-duality and the concepts of non-duality aren't real, but this isn't a separate reality. That's only a human illusion. To the birds, to the bees, to the dogs, to the foxes, to the wolves, to the fish, to the lions, the monkeys, the gorillas, the cows, the sunlight, the grass, the wind. This isn't separate. This isn't a separate reality. Because this being the only thing that exists and that there is no separation. Because at the end of the day, it can be just a nice idea, and the experience that you have had only deceptions are only deceptions of the mind. There is no way to show that it's real. Maybe there is no being, no consciousness, and maybe we are just body-mind organisms and nothing else. Is it possible? Greetings. I think this question comes from not really understanding what I'm talking about, but believing that you understand what I'm talking about. So I think there is quite a lot of evidence to point that this isn't a separate reality. So just look at science. Just look at what we know about life, that there is no boundary to anything. So we see a tree, and we believe with our ability to see and our senses that the tree ends at a certain point. But if you got out a microscope and began to look at the border of the tree, you would never find the border of a tree. You'd never be able to find the border of anything. What would happen when you began to look at, say, the leaf or the bark, is you'd find smaller and smaller particles, and it would keep getting smaller, and you'd never actually find the beginning and end of anything. You'd find that this is one energy expressing itself as many different colours and formations, but there's not actually separation happening. So I think if you want proof, although I mean science is relative because it depends on what you compare it against, but science seems like a really good thing to investigate, because science is actually reflecting back this message and saying there is no separation. So you say maybe there is no being and no consciousness. I mean, ultimately there isn't. Who you are is a mystery. So putting the word on being or consciousness is only something that we have as a mind, and ultimately it's totally mysterious as to who we are and who's experiencing this. So saying you are beingness or our consciousness is also not quite right. And I do say that if you listen to enough of my talks, but it's like I can't say everything all at one go, otherwise I would just say nothing. You have to do it kind of in stages, because as we talked about at the beginning of what you said, is that words are always in comparison. So I can't express non-duality all in like one short sentence. It's like trying to put it out there. And actually, consciousness and beingness both have two qualities, or you can't even really call it qualities, but they're nothing, and everything simultaneously. It's not that they're consciousness or beingness that's separate from everything. But this is where I think that you don't quite understand what I'm saying. Thank you. You're amazing. So happy to discovered you. Oh, thanks, Whitney. I recently popped into constant abiding awareness. The character is so lovely in her imperfections. I want to extend my deepest gratitude and love to you. Life is full of charm and grace and surprise around every corner. Oh, nice. Oh, that's really nice to hear. Oh, thanks for sharing that, Whitney. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Chris. So nice to see you again. Miss your energy. Thanks for what you share with us. Lovely as always. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Phyllis. Hi, Lisa. Welcome back. Nice to spend time listening to your talks. Thanks, Sue.